In this video today, I'm going to be talking to you about 8 reasons that you might want to consider when you're moving to the Twin Cities. And I'm talking about 8 negatives. So let's dive in. In no particular order, we're going to draw the list out of a bowl. So making friends. So we are known here in Minnesota as Minnesota Nice because we are nice people. We are friendly, we are kind, we're generous, we like to help people, but people who live in the Twin Cities and in Minnesota tend to stay in the Twin Cities and Minnesota. I've been here all my life, born and raised in Minneapolis. And I do have friends from high school. I know in a lot of places around the country, people are transient, so they don't have that connection of early childhood or early young adulthood friendships, maybe from college or whatever. But we have these tight-knit groups of friends, and when strangers come in, we have a tendency not to include them. However, if you belong to a church, if you belong to some other organizations, you will often be invited for coffee, often invited to come for dinner, whether or not that invitation goes beyond that initial, let's get together for coffee, let's get together for dinner. That's a different story. I have a girlfriend who was a former neighbor and she moved here from Oregon. And she expressed this so much. We were friends and she did come to my house for coffee and drinks and dinner. But she said, people always invite me and I never end up going because it never goes beyond that initial invitation. It's hard to make friends here. You have to be persistent. High taxes. We have the 8th highest taxes in the country. Our property taxes are 1 to 2% of the value of your home. State income taxes range between 5.85% and 9.8%, of course, depending on your income level. Our state sales tax averages about 7.5%. The only thing that's not taxed is groceries and clothing, because most states do tax that. Bars and restaurants have a high tax if you're buying any liquor in a restaurant or in a liquor store. Cigarettes, if you're a smoker, I'm not, but they also are taxed very highly, as well as gas. So, high taxes, you might end up paying more than where you currently live if you move to Minnesota.
State tax, federal tax, Social Security tax.
Socioeconomic disparities. 77% of whites own homes in the state of Minnesota, whereas less than 30% of blacks own homes in Minnesota, and in Minneapolis, less than 20% of blacks actually own their homes. Minnesota has the 5th largest median income gap in the country, the 4th largest homeownership gap, and the 2nd largest poverty rate in the country at 291%. That's according to Wallet Hub. Another reason you might consider before moving to Minnesota. Infrastructure and road construction. The Twin Cities has continued growth. The population is growing. We need to build more schools. We need to build more roads. We need to build more bridges, etc. And there was recently a $2.6 billion infrastructure bill that was passed in June of this year. The other thing is road construction. Well, we actually call it here in Minnesota, we call it winter and road construction. Because in the winter, we can't do road construction because of the ice and the snow and the freezing ground and all of that. So once the frost comes out of the ground in the spring, road construction begins. And it continues until the frost goes in the ground again, back in November, December. We have huge potholes that come due to the winter, due to the freezing and the thawing of the ground. So they're constantly filling potholes. And I'm not talking about little potholes. I'm talking about big potholes that can actually mess up your car. So there's constant road construction as, again, the infrastructure is changing and we're trying to make our roads bigger to handle all of the traffic. There's just road construction that goes on all summer, fall, spring, except winter. On to the next. Mosquitoes. Our state bird is the loon. It's a beautiful bird, has a beautiful call, etc. However, we actually are the land of 11,862 lakes that are over, I believe, 25 acres. And that does not include the smaller lakes, the smaller ponds, etc., which are a breeding ground for mosquitoes. So in the summer, with that hot weather and humidity comes mosquitoes. It's just a given. If you're in a group of people and there's anybody with type O, they're the ones who are going to get bit. And what happens then? You're scratching. Mine get to be welts like this, and then I scratch for days and days until they bleed. It's not fun. But the mosquitoes are everywhere, especially if you're up north.
We'll also be bringing insect repellent.
Weather extremes. Oh my gosh. Do we have weather extremes? So let's start with the winter. Everybody thinks we are in the middle of the country in the tundra. Well, we're really not. Well, we might be in the middle of the country, but we're not in the tundra. However, it does get cold here in the winter. We're talking sometimes 30 below zero. That does not include the wind chill. If the wind is blowing, that is how cold it is on your skin. It might be 40 degrees below zero wind chill, 50, 60, whatever the case may be. Those are the days that we don't go outside. However, there's always people that are going to go outside. Minnesota has the coldest average winter temperatures in the country. And I'm talking that includes Anchorage, Alaska. The winter of 22 and 23, we had over, I think, 80 inches. It was a miserable winter. It was a very long winter. This past winter, however, we had hardly any snow. So you just never know, but there are extremes. So along with the snow and the cold, and I'm talking cold where it hurts your eyeballs, it hurts your face when you go outside. Along with that, sometimes there are rainstorms or there are sleet storms in the winter. They make for quite a beautiful landscape. However, they're dangerous. It's dangerous to drive in the winter when the roads are icy. You can get black ice on the road. You don't even know that you're gonna go into a slippery situation. If you are a novice winter driver, just be careful when you move here. Another thing that happens in the winter are blizzards. I mean, sometimes the snow is coming down and the wind is howling and you cannot see more than a block in front of you. So it can be quite dangerous when you're driving. So blizzards, another reason to kind of stay home, get cozy, put a fire on and drink some hot cocoa or a brandy. And then in the summer, we have hailstorms. Along with torrential thunderstorms can come hailstorms. Be careful of your car. I right now have an insurance claim for hail damage on my roof, getting a new roof. But hail can do a lot of damage, not just to property, but to foliage. If you're a gardener, it can trash your gardens. I've had that happen to me. I don't like that so much. I believe the highest temperature recorded in the state of Minnesota was 108 degrees. Now, we don't get to 108 degrees. However, we do get hot. And when it gets hot, often it's muggy. So it feels like you're in the Caribbean. Like you can have 90 degrees, but 70% humidity. None of that feels good, unless you like that. And some people like that and enjoy that. Along with that humidity and stuff comes those mosquitoes as well. The average temperature in June, July, and August hovers around 80 degrees. So for us, that is quite lovely if it's around 80 degrees. But when it gets into 90 with that humidity and then creeps up to 100, it's just miserable. The other thing that can happen during the summer is tornadoes. We are in Tornado Alley. So that's one of the reasons why we have basements, or not one of the reasons why we have basements, but we have basements here. So when there's a tornado coming, you go downstairs into the basement. Allergies. Who suffers from allergies? So many people suffer from allergies. We have a lot of green space here in Minnesota. Lots and lots and lots of green space. What comes with that? Lots and lots of pollen. Tree pollen, grasses pollen, etc. And you know, it blows and it doesn't matter where you live. If you are a sufferer of allergies, you will suffer here as well. Fortunately for me, I don't have that problem. Traffic. Well, I mentioned infrastructure, and along with increase in population and the roads not being built for the population that is currently living here in the Twin Cities and in the metropolitan area. Traffic can be a big pain in the butt. We have rush hour in the morning. You know, what might be a normal 15-minute commute for you might turn into 30 minutes, 45 minutes, especially in the winter, especially in the rain. When we have these torrential rainstorms or when we have these blizzards, traffic slows to a crawl and it may take you just forever to get to where your destination is. We're working on improving it, but right now, traffic is a pain in the butt.
Traffic, no more traffic.
Those are the 8 reasons why you should consider before making the decision to move to Minneapolis, Twin Cities, Minnesota. Now, if you have any questions, please reach out to me. We help people all the time who are looking to move to the Twin Cities. We'd love to help you. See the number below.